Sometimes I'm blown away by how quickly my opinion on something can change. I thought the found footage genre of movies, where they pretend like they found all this footage and put it all together to make a movie, Blair Witch Project was probably the first notable one. I thought it was dead. I thought Apollo 18 had put the final nail in the coffin, and Paranormal Activity would kind of be the last echoing remnants of the found footage genre. I thought it was over. It was done. There's nothing new to see here. Nothing you can do. And then Chronicle came out. Chronicle tells the story of three friends, or I guess I should say three acquaintances who become friends based on a common shared experience where they receive telekinetic powers, and about what happens in their life as they learn to develop these powers, and what happens in their friendship and the world around them as these powers manifest themselves in them. And it is a huge surprise to me how much I loved this movie. Now, I'd heard a little bit of buzz, so I wasn't completely shocked that there was a good movie here, because I had heard some buzz. But let me add to it and just say Chronicle is a great movie. There's a lot of reasons for this, a lot of reasons that I loved it. A lot of that has to do with the performances. These three guys that center this movie put in stellar performances, especially considering kind of the unique skill set you have to develop when you're in a found footage movie. The idea that the cameras are there. You don't have to pretend that they're not. You have to interact with them as a normal human being would act when they're being shot on video. That adds, I think, a little bit of level of difficulty in coming across as genuine and real, but they pull it off admirably. In fact, I found myself really caring about these three guys. All three of them, even the one that kind of becomes the villain of the piece, man, just empathizing with him and feeling like I want him to succeed. I want his life to be good. And for all three of them, that I want them to be friends, and I want them to figure out how to use these powers responsibly. And I just, man, they do a really good job of creating empathy in these characters. Add to that, the fact that the director of this movie, I think if I'm understanding correctly, was 26 when he directed it. That is ridiculously young to have this much understanding of how to put together an amazing movie. Well done, sir, young sir. You have done an amazing job with Chronicle. It is beautiful and so tightly woven and edited. There's a lot of momentum in this movie. You never feel for a second that you don't know where you are or how you got there. You feel like you have an understanding of the story, what needs to happen, where you're being taken. It's very tightly put together, so there's never any space for you to just kind of sit back and go, okay, what are we doing now? It just feels like, okay, we're to the next thing, and it's very expertly put together and edited, and I was always engaged with what was going on, and at the same time curious about what's coming next and how are they going to resolve this, and the suspense and the mystery of what's going on and where are we going. It just adds up to a very satisfying movie experience. Again, something that's not easy to do necessarily with a found footage movie. Now, I will say it's a kind of a different take on found footage in that it's not so much found footage, like, oh, we found this and here's a movie, as it is self-shot. In other words, the conceit is that every shot in this movie is shot by a character in the movie, by a camera that exists in the world of this movie, but it's not necessarily like, oh, here's a reel of footage that we put together for you. It's just kind of, these are the shots that would exist within this world that we've put together. So there's a little bit of a different feel to it. It doesn't feel like Cloverfield or Blair Witch, where it's like, here, we're just presenting this to you. Here, the government found this and we just want you to see this, or Apollo 18 or whatever. It's very much a movie that's put together expertly based on shots that would have been reasonable to take within. And I think that makes a difference because it allows for this metaphor, this beautiful metaphor about how technology separates us from each other, how we can use a video camera or YouTube or social networking to separate us when we're pretending like it connects us. And it's this beautiful metaphor seen in youth culture in this moment of how one person, in an attempt to use media to connect, actually finds himself more separated. And that outcast and that feeling that we all know, and how that can impact us and affect us, and how the people around us can react to that, and what we do when we have the responsibility of these, new things and these new gifts in our life, and how we use them. Man, just these beautiful philosophical undertones to this movie, sometimes blatantly stated by one of the characters who was kind of a philosophical kind of a kid, but at the same time you can see them echo throughout the story, and I love that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff is directed at me. Not everybody, but that philosophical stuff is stuff that kind of tweaks me a little bit and gets me going, and I really, really enjoyed it in Chronicle. The truth is, I really, really enjoyed this movie overall, and I came to the end of it, and it had me thinking and processing, and am really wanting to recommend this movie to anybody that would enjoy it. It's PG-13. It earns the PG-13. There's some violence and some different things like that, but setting that aside, it is a movie that made me think, and an interesting movie, one that you might want to check out as well.